All right, we are live, I think, as soon as someone will claim that they can hear me and is out there. And I'm counting. Are we here? Sound check. All right, why on earth is there a commercial on my live stream? Lisa, can you hear me? We'll give people a movement. Outstanding. We'll give people a moment to come on over here. They're coming over here. Sounds good. Outstanding. I had a delay. StreamYard that I use was giving in notice on their website that they had problems all morning. But apparently they fixed it just in time, as they should, so we wouldn't have to completely lose our minds and go pick it outside their office. Now, I want to tell you something that's going on. What's going on with your internet? I will say, StreamYard, they said that there's been some stuff going on all morning, but it's fixed on my end. I couldn't do a test until that would go through until 5 minutes ago. So, all right. Now I'm looking at 3 different screens with myself talking with a delay. That's not going to make me paranoid or schizophrenic in any way. I think I'm going to have to focus on one. I'll focus on that one. All right. So what's going on is finally they did what I really thought they weren't going to do. They're going to let me in, and they're going to open the Bergkristall tunnels out in Linz, out in Austria, in October 2021, 2, 3, 4, maybe. So I finally got myself an invitation. So now I can actually go film the Bergkristall tunnels. And they are extremely important for a number of reasons. First of all, as I explained to the people who runs that show from Mauthausen, it's important to see what the workers were doing and what they were made to do there. But it's extremely important to also to try to figure out what was done there, because we know that Kamla produced at least 1,000 jet planes out of the Bergkristall tunnels. And there's other things. There's always other things when it comes to this. But it is the most complete and technically advanced of the underground systems that was built during the war. And they have destroyed 70% of it by filling it up with cement. I've heard from people who were involved in that effort that it was necessary because the tunnels had come, they're in under where people were now living. So you had houses above the tunnels, and they were afraid the tunnels were going to collapse and take the buildings above with them. Okay. If I had heard it from anybody else than the guy I heard it from, I would have been deeply suspicious and really paranoid and annoyed that they were going to try to destroy it just for the sake of destroying it. Like I said, they don't like to talk about it. Okay, I will bear with me and bite my teeth on the fact that they filled up this place with cement. What really, really grinds my cookie is they filled it up without documenting it, without photographs, videoing. They didn't go through it and film every single bit of it before they filled it up. That is where we get to the suspicious part of things, because that is just one of those things that keep me awake at night. I don't have to watch the news to be pissed off. I can just look at what people are doing at history. Sorry about the background noise. I got sound effects going on because apparently today is the day that someone decided it is a tree pruning day. So we're just going to go with that one. Anyway, I'm going to go there, and I have put in my application that I would like to see Kellerbau. Kellerbau was the first tunnel system Kamla built. It's right next to where Bergkristall is, and it is at least partially flooded. Don't care. I'll bring it. Diving equipment if I can. Don't care. I'll go. Let me at least go in and see. I'll bring a rubber dinghy, whatever. I'm going to go there. Whatever the credit card will hold, I'm going to go there because we have to get this documented and filmed. You barely see any documentation. I haven't found one from the inside from a walkthrough of Bergkristall tunnels. They're very guarded. They're very secretive, and there's no way of sneaking in. So this only through the front door, and that is, I'm just glad that they will actually give me a chance to film this. And tree pruning, If I need to turn up my mic, let me know. I'll put a couple of rounds over the patio here. Also, holy hell. And I hope I get rid of the damn squirrels that are eating my furniture. Yeah, sorry about that. Anyway, I'm going to get to the questions. But yeah, those are some of the most important systems. And there's more to what happened in Linz and a little bit further. This is also where Andreas Sulze found the entrances to other tunnel systems that they won't let him dig for. I wager the big battle for the truth will be waged in Linz one day, because that is where we know where things are, we know where to look, and we are not allowed to. That's a different battle. I just want to document this because it's funny that they've had tours and I practically see no one, no photos, no videos, no nothing from that place. So I am going to do I'm going to do my damnedest to try to film and document every nook and cranny of those tunnels that we can, because one day they're going to be disappeared. Sometime they'll find a reason or a way or to just fill them up. I just know it. So this is important. Same thing with Killabau. And I put the same thing out to see if I get a permit to dive in the tunnel. Of course, everything's flooded everywhere. In Dor Mittelbau, where coming up V1s and V2s, and there's also some of the adjacent systems, very large, bigger than the big main tunnels from what I can see. They're also flooded. I want to go dive and film there as well, at least from what I can understand, the water's clear. Anyway, I want to try to document these before they magically fall off the map. And I heard from an acquaintance number. I am so sorry. I am still way behind on checking my emails. I'm trying. I really am. But we're gonna get to me asking you guys for a bit of help on this, because I feel I'm missing information, the things I'm not getting because I just cannot dig through my mail fast enough, and that's just unfortunate. So what I was going to say is also going to go to Vienna and have a look at some things there. And there's a silver mine where I may or may not get in. I don't know yet. I haven't found out yet. If I can, where they build ME262s. I'm going to do a swing through Czechia and meet with my aeronautical historian and see if I can get a little trip to the library and see Himmler's missing library, and swing through Riesa and see if they found something there on their last digs that we need to see. And of course, I'm going to go back to Jonastal, and I'm going to go to Berlin and see Crystal Flocken, and that I'm looking forward to. My kind of crazy. We're going to have there's a lot of some catch up I'm going to want to do, and that brings me to me needing you guys. And a lot of you guys have sent me some really good information and emails. And what I was going to say is, my friend from Vienna sent me about this. Maybe one day a possibility to get into quartz. There may also be a possibility they're just going to completely demolish it, which is not surprising anyway. I'm going to try. Really? There is. Anyway, it's my favorite bug. How do you know it's not my pet bug? Anyway, so I'm going to go try to document some of these places while we can, because you never know when they disappear. And that's what I needed you guys to help me with a little bit here. I'm spending an enormous amount of time running around, driving, filming, going to places that I know of, and then spending even more time, actually, way more time, editing it, trying to make it into coherent presentations for you guys, which means that I am way behind on my research. That's why the SS documentary is lacking, or not lacking. It's not there yet, because it just takes so much time. Yeah, you're right. It just takes so much time to edit everything that I don't have time to spend actually researching where I'm going next. So you guys, hopefully some of you, maybe one of you, have time to look at some of the smaller locations. We know that Kamla had 20 locations that we know of that he built. There's a lot more existing tunnel systems that was elaborated. There's a lot more than the ones he built that he also had to do with, not just him, but other German research as well, that I want to visit. Some of them I don't know of because, well, I don't know everything. I'm not everywhere. I'm going to try to go with Berlin Underground, but that's pretty saturated. I don't think we can find anything new. But there's some things we want to see also in Nuremberg. But if you guys have if you have a lead, a verifiable lead, that there's a place, here's the thing, you should see this, you can see this. What I really need is some of you guys, and like I said, I'm so far behind on my emails and I feel really bad. And when I open up an email and it's 4 pages, it's going to go back in the back of the box. And I'm just, sometimes I have a minute, but between day job and duty and this, there's not a whole lot of time to just take 3, 4, I would take a week to sit and read all my emails and respond to them. And I try not to read my emails until I know I have time to respond to them. If you have a lead, send me make the headline. Here's a location you can see. Give me the coordinate and the short details, and I'll see if I can dig through it, because then I at least have a chance. And if I don't always respond, it doesn't mean I haven't read your emails. It just means I just don't have the time, and I hate to be that guy. I have 1,000 emails sitting right now, and if I start, well, then we're going to miss a couple of weeks of episodes, and the episodes are paying for the trip, so I can't miss episodes. I have no idea how it's going, how it's happening with this YouTube thing. We have more views, more followers, and less revenue than we did 6 months ago. I don't know how that works. And there's a tree that just fell down outside my window. Really cool. Well, these things happen, I guess. I've been to the Gotthard reactor, season 2 premiere. And I also did Gotthard, what's it called? Went to Gotthard and Kummersdorf, which is practically next to each other. And yes, I don't know how that worked. So what we got coming is, I'm trying to read. I'm going to try to consolidate and put the 2 screens of my fat face next to each other so I can just read on one. Oh, that's the wrong side. I don't really need to look or listen to myself in stereo, but what I do need is to see you guys chat. There it is. Ooh, this could work. Yes, it's I have 4 screens sitting here, so I'm getting a little, bug-eyed. But since I have a couple of different chats going on, I don't want to miss you guys here, because it's much easier to answer questions and talk about it here. Because anyway, like I said, we are all in this together, and I need you guys to help me figure out where I need to go when I'm out there, because I'm missing information, and I'm missing places, and I get back here, and then I'm sitting here, and I'm like, damn, I was right there. I should have gone through it. So if you have any leads, any hints, make it short and something I can pull up on a coordinate and go like right there, drop a dot and go there. Black hammer suits, black bleach hammer suit. No, I have not. Yes, no, that's the thing. I've been focusing very much on Kamla's locations, but when I start widening that search, we get into an enormous amount of underground facilities, and that was up and running as well. There was a huge amount of technology that went on, and interestingly, some of it had Swiss and some of it had American equipment. That was somewhat interesting. All right, where's Lady Blah Blah? Why are you not here? And why on earth did we get into preparation H? How did we get there? Help. See, that's why. Okay. There are two hinges shaped like. Chris, drop me coordinate. I'm guessing we're looking at Germany. When they start pruning the trees, all the bugs and the squirrels come in here. Yay. Hamburg submarine bunker 2. I thought they completely, from what I could see in Hamburg, I thought they completely flattened the submarine bunkers there. I do have a submarine pen coming up, just like the flak towers. I know it took a year to do it after it being requested. Same thing with the U-boat pens. I have a full episode from one of them. But the one in Hamburg, I thought that had been completely demolished, and there's nothing to see on the pens in Hamburg. I thought. But if I am wrong about Hamburg, I mean, I'm going through there. This time I'm going to fly in to Denmark because it's cheaper. Oddly enough, renting a car in Denmark, cheaper. I have no idea how that ever happened, given the taxes. And Brian, did you lose internet or did I lose internet? I'm son of a donkey. Are we still good? Let me just do a little test. My test went through. Yes, I know they did. Yeah, I know there was boats in there when they did it. There's a car, but yeah, you can't get in or under or around it, right? In Hamburg. Containment of the reactor. The reactor Heisenberg had. I'm probably. I'll stick to high. Good. Yeah, I'll probably swing by Heigelok. They were filming something last time I was there, so I wasn't welcome. This time I'm not going to ask for permission. I'm just going to show up when they're open. But I'm not impressed with Heigelok, and I'm not impressed with Heisenberg. And I've always said so because he was the white project that everybody knew about, and he failed. And he indicated that he deliberately failed. So he's the one everybody wants to promote. He is the non-Nazi German scientist that couldn't make it work. Although even when he was interned in England afterwards, from when they heard of the bomb, it didn't take him very long to write down the calculations that was correct. And all the plans of Deebnus, he had. The Russians tested their viabilities after the war and said they were all solid. So it would take a lot to convince me they didn't have something and they didn't test it and they didn't make it work. Sorry. So that's why I think they're trying to promote Heigelok and Heisenberg so much, because he officially failed. Oh, bloody hell, you're going to send me coordinates on here, are you, Chris? Chris, I can't. Oh, hang on. Stop chatting. Stop. All right. I need to copy this. There. Where's the damn word thing? There. Where is it? There it is. I have my notepad. Great. Outstanding. I love coordinates. Coordinates make my life easier. Small things, small joys in life. No, I'm also flying into Denmark because after my mom passed away, all her stuff is sitting in at a friend's house up there, and I'm still bringing the photo albums and the important things back here, so it makes sense. Plus, Danish Christmas food. Christmas is coming up. Hello, Denmark. So yes, I think I should go through Denmark. That would also possibly give me a chance to swing up to swing up to Norway, and there's a couple things we all want to say. That like there's no downpours. It better not be raining when I get there. Servus Deutschland. Better not be raining. I have no time for this. No more wetness. I am renting a SUV this time because given what happened last time I left. All right. So, and another thing I am really excited about. We all right, fine. it is interesting to try to figure out what they were doing during the war, and it is it is. He did. I'm still trying to get a hold of Peter Lavenda, and I talked to Harry Cooper yesterday. Um, yes, it was yesterday. Harry's fun. He keeps getting kicked off and demonetized, and don't know why. I haven't figured out why yet. And I did reach out to David Irving as well, and asked if he would do an interview and talk about his books and life and times. And that would probably only be on my Patreon because we need this. Anyway, I am really, really excited about my Great Forts is now starting World War One. And I found a lot of things World War One that makes World War One a hell of a lot more interesting than I thought. And some of it will eventually lead into, of course, World War II and World War II technical developments and constructions. But you will be surprised, and I'm not just saying that's because I want you to watch more of the Great Forts that will maybe eventually change its name. It's a show that will live for the rest of my life because there's amazing fortresses and bunkers all over the world. Oslo, I'm coming to see you. Probably going to sail up through Oslo from Poland. But there are some things in World War One that I found that I had no idea. No idea. I had no idea was that they did. They did some amazing stuff. And because it's World War One, no one cares about it. No one talks about it. And there's some stuff sitting out in the ground that are just amazing. And truly, yeah, that's kind of a hunch I have. I'm talking to Joseph. We chat every week, and I'll like I said, I've been wanting to go out and see him for the longest time. Joseph, it's just I was going to go this month and try to catch up and have some shows done and go out and do a couple of star forts out on the East Coast, and then this whole Bergkristall opened up, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to go there. So now I'm going to go there because I want to see that's just important. I got to jump on that while I can. And the same thing with Duo, but I want to see you know how it is. We got to see the stuff that is behind the closed door. And there's some more, like I said, I have the 20 drawings of the CIA sent me of Kamla's tunnels. And of course, they didn't bother sending the coordinate of them. Why would they make it easy? But I have an adjacent city name. So now I'm going to try to piece together where they all are and if any of them are accessible. I posted, I think it was public on my Patreon. I posted all the 20 of Kamla's locations, the maps that I got from the CIA, where you can see the full thing and you can see the adjacent city names. So if any of you are near those 20 locations and you know of this place, do let me know. And if you actually know where there's an entrance, oh hell, we'll just make that blanket. If you know where there's an entrance to something I should go see, send me a damn coordinate. And then it makes my life easier, especially when I'm on the ground on the map. The most important thing I can do when I'm out there is document everything and then research it when I come back here. And now the research is also taking a little time because the editing takes so much time. It's all a balancing act. But the most important thing I can do is document all these places as far as I can while we still can. And since, well, we never know when these things disappear. And then there's some tunnel systems adjacent to Bergkristall that's interesting. And you remember you remember the episode you just saw like half an hour ago. There's going to be another episode on Friday, another one on Monday, because these are just appendixes. So I upload them because this is information you need to see, and you need to get for context. And I'm going back to Jonasdal to some interesting stuff. That's the next actual episode. It'll be up next week at the latest. It's pretty much done. I'm just doing a couple of subtitles on George. Anyway, Lady Blava, where have you been? You had me on mute. That sounds like a whole lot of people I know who would like that. Ha. Um, anyway, I think and Kamala ended up in America in some way. Yes, I did a deal with the Americans. Well, he ended up here or retiring somewhere else. He initially did a deal with Americans and ended up here. Um, Definitely. I have no doubt on that. Um, and I'm going to Belgium because there's a really fascinating place I went, World War II fort that were tested on. World War II fort, it was tested on with some special secret weaponry by the Germans after they occupied it. And it's the weirdest thing because, well, yeah, we know I'm not a technical wizard here, but something in that location of that fort in Belgium made my drone always go Tango uniform. And when I have a bulletproof camera, not the best camera in the world, as you've seen, but when it works, it's pretty damn bulletproof. And it's about catching these images for you guys more so than making this a cinematic spectacle. The footage from there just kept glitching on the backups, everything. And it was just some really weird stuff that was going on in this particular fort. So I'm definitely going to Belgium because I got to go through there again. It's something I wanted to show you because the people who are trying to put it back together and restore it are an amazing bunch of people. And something weird was going on electrically up there. And I know the Belgian police and even military trains there. Sometimes I couldn't even fly the drone into the boundary; it would just stall. It was really weird because there's nothing secret there that anyone knows of. But so when you come to the Great Forts, and now we're getting to some interesting stuff and some things that happened that we just didn't know. I found a whole village of German test bunkers, different ones, all different, every one a different bunker design built as a village for World War One, and there's just some things that started in World War One that are just amazing, and I want to see if I can get into the Kaiser Tunnel for World War One as well out by Verdun, sorry, and I get a little I get more and more excited about doing World War One episodes, because there's just stuff I'm learning, which was kind of what started this whole thing. Not Regelbauten. This was a whole village of individual bunker designs. It was to test. Regelbauten didn't come on until later in the war, World War II. And this was World War One, and it was just really interesting. And some of the events some of the things that should have been learned and lessons that weren't. World War One is also a continuous cavalcade of utter unnecessary screw-ups for lessons that should have been learned from the Franco-Prussian War. And it's interesting because to understand the mindset of where the SS was going, where Himmler was going with the greater European Union and the connection of the Germanic-speaking people in a non-tax-free trade zone, and having them united. That started with the Kaiser in the 1840s, even before. So do you really want to understand where the Nazis were going with their plans for World War II, you have to start way before the Franco-Prussian War. And that's where you need to understand the mindset of what these guys are doing and why and where they came from. So that's why we have to go back and forth. And that is a little bit of, that's why I was like, when you go through Great Forts, I always tell the stories of what happened in that period to get us to the next step. And that all ties in with what we're doing with Last Nazi Secret. They played it in Banner. Yeah, they did. I was there in the Ardennes for a short time. I always like old battlefields. That's what this whole thing started about, old battlefields. But 5G, maybe that's it. Yeah, I'm not a big 5G idea fan of that crap. That's why I fly the Mini. That shouldn't get me in the way. And most of the places you can actually punch in a code to promise that I know what I'm doing and I'm a responsible adult. So I can fly my drone here. That's what most of the time they send you a code, which makes it quite easy. Which is why I need to go back to Hockenberg because my drone did strange things there. And Hockenberg was interesting because something chased me off the mountain. Literally, physically, something came rolling down towards me in Hockenberg, and that was the weirdest thing I've ever. Straight back to first time I ever got shot at. Kind of, fuck, duck, run, hide. Interesting. Just build your own drone. Patrick, have you noticed that I can barely operate a camera and a microphone on a computer? Build my own drones. Smart house. Come out of here and build one for me. Issues found. Go away. I don't need my virus interrupting us here. Where am I going? Lady, are you anywhere near? Okay, this is where my car stopped working. I was going for the city name that have now eluded me. I've only been there, stayed there a ton of times. Ibn Amal, are you anywhere near there? Because that's adjacent is a crap ton of forts that I really like. And there's one of them I kind of want to... that's where World War I started going wrong for the French was when the Belgians got shut up. Arnhem, you're in the other end. Okay, outstanding. Rostov? Yeah, well, you know. No, where? Okay, I'm not going to start looking up where I'm going. Another fortress city. But anyway. Yeah. No, I'm just reading my one. There's a little place. Is that not far from? Lady, you can tell me that. I'm not even sure. It's in that general area where there's an American unit that moved in that took up a barn, moved all their gear in, and then they at some point marched off without it and left everything behind. There's a Sherman tank sitting outside. I think it's a private couple that used to own it. I think that must have been in Belgium. I think that was not far from Ardennes. That's an interesting place because they literally left their campsite and just left. And I am still doing a battle to try to get into one of the German West Wall forts that we also talked about because nobody talks to History Channel. They will not talk directly to people. They will only take agents or lawyer refers or by showrunners they know. But I talked to Discovery Channel, and several of the shows I pitched to Discovery Channel ended up magically on History Channel without me. So, yeah. My old manager have started stirring around trying to do something, but I don't know. Film and TV is a strange thing, and if we were to do, or if I were to do a deal with one of the networks, what you would see on the networks would never be as extensive as what I can do here, because here I can actually, I can take my time, and I mean, could you see a network put on 20-minute walking through an old ME262 tunnel? No, it's just not. For them, it's not. It's not exciting enough. But for historians, it's what we need. You can get to do the teasers on you see a lot on TV and on networks. You see the little 10-minute presentation of an area, and you go, "This is really interesting." But that's when you then need to go there, or I need to go there and go, like, well, there's more to this. There's always more to it than you'll see on TV. Of course, it would be nice because it would probably pay the rent. Yay. But it's funny because like I talked to Joss Gates, producer, mainly because he wanted somebody else's number. And we talked about doing something together at some point. So we'll see. It will be interesting. I mean, and one of my friend's friend is the producer of Hunting Hitler, and I said I want to talk to him because this could be done better by actually going for places. The thing about Hunting Hitler that drove me crazy is watching it. I kept saying, "Yes, I know. Yes, I know. Yes, you go in there. Yes, I know. Yes, I know about him. Hudal was his name," and they're presenting it as it's the first time we ever heard of it. Granted, for a lot of people, Hunting Hitler was a good show because, you know, there's a new generation coming out there that needs history presented in an exciting way, and it's new for them. So good. It for those who don't know much, who's interested in the subject, it's a good show because it goes over a bunch of places and a bunch of names, and that's fine. But if you really want to dig, you got to take the time and dig. You can't say we have 2 days to film here and it'll be whatever it'll be, then we move on. You have to take the time. And it's like Oak Island drives me mad. I stopped watching Oak Island 800 seasons ago because the narration was driving me crazy with the repetition. And I have really good friends in the industry that keep saying, well, you know, if you do the episodes, make them exciting in the beginning to show some highlights and then do this. And like, no, I just want to, you guys know what I'm doing. And sometimes it's not always, there's not a sensation in everything. Sometimes it's about looking through, well, what did they do? And sometimes we'll walk through an entire episode and then we get to the round thing at the end of the last appendix I did. I have no idea what that round thing is. I have never seen that thing before. I don't think I've seen that thing before. And then we go like, well, this is about, yeah, I don't know. Well, I don't have any either way with Joss Gates. I never met him, never talked to him. But no, on TV, they don't find anything. They never find anything because they're not looking to find anything, which is fair. They're looking to show what was found and what is there and talk a superficial story of that. And then we go on and then hopefully we find it. But it's also important to keep visiting these places for the next generation. No. And because there's also, we keep hoping that there's a hope for somebody younger than, well, me. Tunnel entrances to the existing tunnels. I was looking for the plateau for the underground detonation site that I really shouldn't tell you about because the next episode is not, it haven't aired yet. But no, sometimes we just gotta, we have to try to, it has to be a little exciting to bring in the new generation or a generation that's unaware. And it is important, especially now of all times. People really need to understand what happened before, and because it's a large reason how we got here. So, you know, that's yeah. Oak Island was sort of interesting, but after each commercial clip, when they started introducing the same people we just saw by name, after everybody we've known and seen in the show forever gets introduced by name and who they are, and every single time we see them, it just becomes, I'm sorry, I'm not that stupid. I remember I saw them right before the commercials that I fast forwarded through anyway. It's like, and I don't know why they're doing this with Oak Island, because there's maybe 10, 15 minutes of new footage in each one, and most of that doesn't really go anywhere. And you go back to repetition, and it just drives me crazy. And it's sorry, because an interesting story, and the guys who are doing it, they seem to be great guys. So the thing is, like, a lot of the people you see on TV presenting history shows and documentaries, they're actors that was given a script and hired to present a site, and that's fine, because sometimes you want. I mean, I guess it's fine. You want people. You want people to hear what's being said, so you wanted to present it nicely, coherently, in an interesting way. So I mean, that's actors, politicians, they're good at presenting scripts, right? And that's what that is. Like somebody talked about, oh, Lawrence Fishburne just got a history show on Discovery Channel. I'm like, well, that's great. He's not a historian. He's good at presenting things. Good for that. And sometimes historians are not really very good at coming to the point. He sat babbling on for hours and hours. And that's another thing, is every TV show has to be 44 minutes, cut to commercials. And then you have to have repetition after each commercial. You have blah, blah, blah. So you're down to 20 minutes of original footage, and everything else is just filler. If you actually boil down Oak Island to just what they actually found and showed, or showing only what they found, you'd only have half the seasons of half the length. And there's no money in that, because it's always about money. It's always about money. So I think it's more interesting. I'll watch Russians who I do not understand, who doesn't do some of the Russians that crawl around the battlefields in Stalingrad and dig up bodies and dig up weapons and stuff. They don't even have subtitles activated or translations, and I love to watch those shows because it is fascinating to see what they find. They're on the ground, they're filming what they're doing, and I think that's just it really is interesting. I really was hoping there was a gentleman who wrote me last year, and I'm kind of hoping that he would write me back. They were doing battlefield excavations in Poland looking for bodies. And since I have a family member laying out there on a field somewhere in Poland, I was very interested in joining that excavation, because I think active battlefield excavations would be, that's something I really, really would like to do. And if there's anything we can do on all sides to repatriate those who fell on these battlefields, to repatriate their remains, I would very much like to be part of that, because that's important for the families to know and give them peace. And there are so many people who died in these wars that were never found. Anyway, so if any of you have if any of you know of any of the people who are doing battlefield excavations out in Germany, or Poland, do let me know. I'm trying to connect with them again. There is a mass burial of German and Russian soldiers mixed together in a row of graves out there. Should contain some 500 people, and I'm not sure I can get permission to dig them up to look for a dog tag. But no, I have not seen the Russian stalker movie. The Russia, where do you go? Russia is, there is a lot in Russia, and what I'm interested in, what the Russians found, and I keep knocking on the door with both with the Russian archives, American archives, German, British archives, about what did you actually find? Because I find it strange that the Americans got to Berchtesgaden, they got to Dora Mittelbau, they got to Jonastal, and what, you didn't take any photos? Of course they did. They documented everything they took out of there, everything they found, and they took pictures of everything. And the same thing the Russians did when they got to Riesa. Those pictures must be somewhere. Those documents of what they found must have been there. So that's one of the things I'm kind of hoping, and I think I made an acquaintance at the National Archives here, but I would like to actually go there and see, well, where did this go? The CIC, for the American part, did all the information gathering. at the end of the war. So where did the CIC documents go? I think I found Wilhelm Voss, who ran Skodawerke for Kamla and worked with him. He wrote 2 reports for the CIC after the war, and I have found them, I believe. They're both in American and German, and they're in poor condition. But as we know, we have one of our cool guys who's helping me out with graphics, who can probably help me restore them. And so, yes, but I got to go to Moscow, and I have to go to Sevastopol. I want to see some of, speaking of bunkers that have blown up with standing on hundreds of bodies. If you want to get into yes. Well, before I go to the Russian archives, we're just going to do a GoFundMe for brown envelope money. See, we'll make it through the customs. That's where the first envelope will go. Anyway, okay, so there's some strange internet stuff going on these days. Remember what I said. You find documents, videos, websites online, copy them, download them, save them, hard drive in the safe somewhere. Why you can't, because you never know what disappears. Hell, you never know if the internet goes down one day. I have everything I've done backed up on different hard drives, so if YouTube or whatever disappears, it'll still be safe. It'll take me a little time to get it back up. It'll be safe. Sadly, the comments won't always be. Also, I am slowly uploading all the Last Nazi Secret episodes to my Patreon, so it is there as well. Belarus is interesting. It's also slightly less safe place to go to, depending. I did tell you all that the Polish general have forgiven me, and we are meeting out there. He's the guy that took part of the demolition team of the castle. So he was there in the 70s, part of stuff. So hopefully he speaks English, because he was actually stationed. He's still a Polish Special Forces general, and he was stationed here in Florida at some point. So hopefully he will share with me some of his thoughts, although he is well, they might, because for a while they're in a safe somewhere. Gerard Williams, Argentina in May, from what I understand. I may actually tag along, see what they got out there. Although summer in Bariloche, where I kind of wanted to go, is in January, March. But again, it all boils down to money. I wasn't sure I was going to go to Europe to go to the Berchtesgaden tunnels this year. I was certain they were going to cancel this thing, so I'm going to go. And because I have 2 books I need publishing already, because there's no publishers. Well, okay, task number 2 to you all: find me a new publisher. The old one went out of business. The third one's only doing romance level novels for women by women. I don't really qualify to that one. So we're back to, I'm a straight white guy who's trying to publish a book on military history. No one seems to be that interested. I would love to. I never thought about doing a book on I never thought that The Last Nazi Secret really would become what it was. This was an interesting study that I came into sideways from a completely different direction. I thought, this is interesting. But I came from straightforward military history and the forts and the bunkers, but you can't start looking at this. You can't start looking at what would happen during the war without starting to raise questions. And the more you start looking, the more questions, and something is wrong. And the way that, especially in Austria, more so even maybe than Germany, they are actively, someone is hiding something. And I keep thinking, this can't just be about, all right, fine, they had a nuclear bomb before the Americans, whoop-de-doo, it's been 75 years, get over it. And I was never much of a conspiracy theorist, or it just, I keep running into these anomalies in the public story, public narrative, and the roadblocks to go beyond that. And you see in a lot of these historical locations, museums, bunkers, forts, there's a straightforward direction, and there's a path they want you to take. And there's people that do interviews and people in museums that lead you down that way to make sure you don't go the other way, which is it's just suspicious. I've seen that there are forged photos of events from the war that has made their way onto museum walls and websites especially, and you write and say, you know, this picture is fake. Sometimes you'll see a photo, if you know a little bit about something, you'll start going into it and you're like, this is wrong. Well, you'll like open it up and you'll see it's wrong, and you write them, so this is a forged photo, and no, there's just something wrong. There's something. There must be something more than just nuclear, and that's a little troubling because they're still doing they're still working so damn hard to cover it up, and that in itself is it doesn't add up. It really, really doesn't. And all these locked doors, it's just weird. Twitch for hosting immediate, yeah. Really? Twitch. Okay, I'll take a look. So I'm always in favor of trying different places, but still, I mean, YouTube is the big dog in town where everybody goes, and like I said, the trips are practically financed by commercial revenue and whatever help I get. So going with YouTube sort of makes sense, but the issues and that it comes with is just strange. I don't think they give much of a damn what happened during World War II. Yeah, I know about those. I usually, even when I work in personal protection and travel around the world, I would never go anywhere unless I had a local law enforcement contact that I could call and work with, that I could pay, that he's the guy who's driving the car, and he's always with us. He speaks the language. He carries a badge, and that's how I would work in Eastern Europe, anywhere over there. It's just a matter of safety, especially if you're babysitting rich people who bring money into these countries, or businesses. They're back in the day they were kidnapped. Victim options, so you wanted local security. Same thing today. I would go back to my old connections and network from back in the day. If I go to Eastern European countries and say, well, you know, do you have somebody who works in law enforcement who knows a little bit of history who can drive me for a week or whatever? Just also you get to know where you're going, and like I said, anywhere, Russia is a big country. And it takes a lot of digging around and driving around if you don't know where you're going. William, you're absolutely correct. Yeah, you do need a fixer over there, especially if you've been out of the game for a while. I mean, everybody's ready to rearm now except America, because it is. Yeah, hey Alan, thank you. Let me fix it. I was gonna go for how to cook base? No. Thank you, Alan. It does. No, you may know. I'm like I have, like I say, I have a network from back in the day, including I went on a date with the bodyguard of the Ukrainian Prime Minister's wife back in the day. Back in the day, that was fun. Right out, not far after the Cold War sort of ended, and we were still sort of opposing. I like Ukraine. Ukraine was fun. Except most of the people I knew out there, now they live somewhere else, which is not helpful. and no one lives in Sevastopol, but that's under Russian control. So we'll see if we can find some Russian general. I do remember a Russian general in the Ukraine. We got drunk together, switched uniforms, and took pictures, and that's why I'll never run for office. That's what you did back in the day. You switched uniforms and shook hands with your enemies, and then you switched back and went home. It's not the aircon. They're doing tree pruning right outside my window, and I don't know why they're doing it today. Not a hell of a lot I can do about it, except I see a tree moving, and when that falls over, I'm assuming they're going to stop. Sorry. Yes. Good times. The photos I might one day share. It was awesome. It really was. That was good times. I really want to go out there again. Yes, I do have that document somewhere on a hard drive. I took shots of all of it and put them in a folder, not really paying much attention to the story because it was only from one source. And then I want to get the translation about Kamla's supposed son living in Czechia. And when then I saw the translation from Thomas Jurek, and he mentioned it, that sort of, okay, that now I'm hearing it from different sides. Now it becomes more interesting. So now I'm going to go dig it up. And they're sitting outside with a big mic and a chainsaw. Well, they can eavesdrop all they want. I'm live. It's funny. I just don't think I'm going to end up with a Russian girlfriend. Don't think. No. Except maybe there's some cooking that could happen there. Kamla's son, the one in Germany, I believe he passed away. At least he wasn't well a year or two ago. But then there's his grandson, and I don't remember. I've chatted with him several times, but I actually don't remember if I know what he looks like. Don't remember seeing him. But it's interesting because I would very much like to talk to sit down, and he doesn't want to do interviews. He doesn't want to be quoted. Kamla's grandson. Totally understand. He's ashamed of what happened, what his grandfather did, and somehow, I mean, it's a little admirable what that man did and accomplished. You gotta give that. You got to give him that. And like I say, I'm about history, not judgment. And I would love to hear his side of the story and the family side of the story. I just don't want to feel like I'm exploiting him. So there are historians that have worked with the family where I saw their comments afterwards, or they interviewed and talked to the Kamla family, and they walked away, and I felt that they disrespected the family in that sense, and what they then subsequently said or wrote, and I don't want to be that guy. It just, I would like to tell you what they think and what they say, and hopefully one day I could no, if it's a friend-to-friend transfer, then there's no, they don't take tax. It's only when services are involved. So whenever you send your buddies money from on PayPal, then just friend to friend. And I mean, I have a lot of respect for the Kamla family, and I think they probably know more than we do. And honestly, I hope they do. It would be nice. Strange way to put it. It would be nice for them if he had survived, that they'd been in contact secretly in the years after. And I would certainly understand they wouldn't ever tell me or anybody else about that. So I don't, anything we would want to know. They wouldn't tell us if they knew, and if they don't know, they can't tell us anyway. And I just don't want to be seen as somebody who is exploiting the family, the Kamla family, for any kind of gain, because I don't think they deserve that. I don't think that's. And some people who I know who's interviewed them have spoken very poorly of their grandfather, which I find in bad taste. To somebody you sit down with, but that's me. Anyway, Nuremberg trials. I would love to see all the footage from the Nuremberg trials. I always said that would love to retry the Nuremberg trials with all information. But that is just me, because there's some things, and one day maybe I'll go into the Nuremberg trials and what was really wrong, what really went sideways on that. That's probably going to get me in trouble, but I think we really need to look at the Nuremberg trials, because so many laws. Oh, come on, get the damn tree cut down, would you? It's not that big. Sorry. And there's so many laws were passed because of the Nuremberg trials, and I think it's really important to actually clarify what happened there. Somebody said paperclip. Yes, it did. Paperclip was sort of on. Sorry, I have no control over mad tree pruners. Paperclip went on at the same time as the Nuremberg trials. It started practically right after the war, where everybody was compiled in a big camp, big camp called referred to as dustbin, where all those of interest were interned for a while before they were shipped off. A lot of people did deals, but the thing about paperclip, which is interesting, is that not everybody went through paperclip. You look at, just case in point, Klaus Barbie. He never went through paperclip. He went straight to work for the CIA. So there are other projects that brought over German knowledge and scientists than those who went through the official paperclip. I'm almost going to say, although they were sort of covering it up at the time, well, what paperclip really was the official denazification of people that probably should have been on the war crimes triangles lists, or having them taken off and moved over here as non-Nazi German scientists to work for America. And I'm thinking, like Kudibus, and I'm thinking this paperclip is sort of the white program of who we brought over, because some of the people who really had dirty hands, they didn't get through paperclip because they just couldn't cover them up, so they just snuck them through the back door and let the CIA do it. Is the way I look at it. So paperclip is the official version. The unofficial version is far more interesting. Or the people that were contract players, like Barbie. These men hadn't escaped. A few camp guards. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, it's easy to, you always fry the small prey, but the big ones always went free, and that certainly was not. Deepna, I think he spent some time worked for the Allies until, or at least were debriefed by the Allies until 47, 48, when he went back to Germany and got the patent for a nuclear reactor for propulsion for cargo ships. And he started I don't remember exactly what that foundation was called, the line for nuclear propulsion of civilian ships, to something to that effect. It's not what it was called, it was something like that. And the first German cargo ship powered by a nuclear reactor, I think it was built in 1955, was built with the Deepna's nuclear reactor design. So Deepna, as soon as he was done with the Allies, started patenting nuclear propulsions. You'd think he may have picked up that knowledge somewhere. Yes. Some of the capos that were That's very interesting. You mentioned that some of the couples. Oh, shut up! Some of the couples after the war were beaten to death by fellow inmates. That's just plain and simple. Which is, quite frankly, not exactly unfair, because what happened in places like, I believe it was Dachau, where all the guards who'd been there, they were replaced 1 or 2 days before the Americans got there with brand new young guards, SS guards, that had straight out of the SS Academy, and they were there. And then all the old timers left, and the Americans showed up and lined up 300 of these young new guards and machine gunned them and shot them in the head, the ones who survived, as retaliation for what they saw in the camp that these 300 had nothing to do with. But the capos, well, they tried to escape and they tried to hide, just like the SS guards and everybody else did, which was sort of interesting. And what is another interesting is you will see a video. I don't have the rights to, so I can't show you. Probably I can take a picture of it. When MacArthur, no, it wasn't MacArthur, it was Eisenhower. When Eisenhower went to the Ohrdruf concentration camp, he was showed around by a camp prisoner, and who told him, and you have all this in video, who told him how things were done and what was happened and how they punished prisoners and so on and so forth. But you look at this prisoner who had long hair and was a little chubby. He was a couple who showed him around, which both George and I thought was a little strange that he was, well, still standing at that point, because there's plenty of videos and pictures of couples having been killed by fellow prisoners the moment they could get to him. And there's a very interesting research paper that was done by a German historian to document where the majority of deaths in concentration camps were. Were they at the hands of the SS? Were they on the work site? Were they in transport? What were they? Where exactly? And who and how did the prisoners actually die? And he came up with it's very well documented. And I keep thinking I really actually would like to get him on here. It's a very long report. And it does seem that the vast majority of the prisoners that died in concentration camps or the work sites died or were killed around the barracks, not on the work site, not at the camp, not by the SS guards, but by the capos, which is just another interesting part of that story. And I think that is interesting. That's something that should probably be talked a little bit more, but it doesn't sound that good, because that means that you know what that means. It's interesting about Schauberger. Victor Schauberger, and I met with his grandson, came to America, but he came to America, number one, he came at the wrong time, because he came right when the space race was about on. No, they carried sticks and whips and were pretty much free to do whatever they wanted. I don't know if any of the capos carried guns, but I know they had enough materials to beat fellow prisoners to death. Sonderkommando is a term for a lot of different things. Let me finish on Schauberger. Schauberger came to America at a time where what he was researching was the natural way of propulsion. Natural means nature way. He was very much not interested in nuclear research and things that would destroy. Also, the way he had things that would turn the earth for farmers, and then turn it again, so nothing would it would irrigate the soil, but not change how it was. It would return it back to where it was before. He was very much a naturalist, which is very interesting. But when he went to America, he was less interesting, because at that point everybody was trying to get with a rocket to the moon, and that really wasn't his thing. He had a different way. So he probably didn't get a whole lot of resources, and he did not have a good time in America. And he came back and died a few days after, which was very sad. But I don't think Schauberger most certainly wasn't a Nazi. He wasn't that. He was much of a naturalist, from what I can understand. it was interesting because he had an office. He got a research office in Mauthausen, where he wrote in his diary that he was working in the tunnels, Bergkristall, and he didn't want to stay there because the guys in the tunnel next to him were working on splitting the atom, which is that statement was confirmed by his grandson, and then they moved him on to research somewhere else, which is another indication of something took place there that we don't know of. Capo was was prisoners assigned to guard other prisoners, and a lot of times they were criminals. Like if you had a concentration camp where you had predominance of Jewish inmates, the prisoners that was there for criminal infractions were a lot of times made the capos. So I guess you'd have the worst of the worst. So this was fellow prisoners that was policing the majority of the prisoners. You got to think most of the concentration camps were run with very few guards. There was not a whole lot of guards sitting at these various camps. This was all they were run by collaborating inmates, and apparently, from what I could see, the majority of them were the ones where most of the violence were towards prisoners came from or were conducted. You had Einsatzgruppe. You had a lot. Yeah, you had in Russia that would kill their share outright, and that's where I think the majority of the Jews that was killed in the war were shot in pits around Eastern Europe and buried. It's pretty, what my sort of research, what I have researched my way through, seems to make sense and seems to document. Numbers are just it's hard to actually come up with, and no one really ever did a really forensic look at those numbers, and no one will probably ever be allowed to. However, it happened, and it was terrible, and there's no doubt about that. So somebody said we're in California. What did I miss? Walter Bosley, yeah, that rings a bell. When the U.S. is the... Well, I thought you knew the U.S. is an expert on everything. Despite having the worst education system on the planet. Walter Bosley. He was. Did he make it out? William, did he make it out of there? Yes. My uncle with the Hoth's Fourth Army in the rescue attempt of Stalingrad. He got his Iron Cross there, one of them. And that's one of the things I would very much like to. I would love to go to Stalingrad and see when you see some of the battlefield excavations from there, even though they're all in Russian without subtitles. And yes, I know I'm behind on doing my subtitling and translation. I'm behind on a lot of things. Yeah, you know what? You're right. 420. Tick has a really good series on Stalin, on some of the major battles, and he really breaks it down in detail. I will say I recommend his videos to a lot of military officers and students, because they're just really they're really in depth and detailed. It's something that, from a military perspective, you can really learn something from. Well, if all he lost in Stalingrad was 3 fingers, it still came out okay. Yeah, he does good, but he also, of course, it also depends on what books you're following. Any uses of secret places? Wait, Zeppelins, and you mean Zeppelins as in the airships? No, I don't. I think Zeppelins I don't think Sibilants played any part in World War. Oh, Sibilants didn't, but blimps over the U.S. coast for looking for submarines certainly did. Well, Jack goes without saying. Yes, we're live. Oh, yes, Google Translate got me in trouble with the Polish general. So, yeah, I'm a little bit more on that now. It's easy to translate languages I speak into subtitles, as opposed to the ones I don't. Yes, I know the video I did today. I'm actually rendering a new version. I found there's a sound bit that has been tucked in under another sound bit, and I just separated the two. So the video you just saw will be deleted sometime today and replaced by a new video where I'm actually not talking over myself for that 20-second segment. So you can all go back and just listen to that 20-second, because I'm sure I said something very important right there. He was a Polish general. That's what got me in trouble. I really look forward to meet him. By the way, General Olbrecht. Wouldn't be from to visit Los Alamos. I wanted to visit Los Alamos, but because of everybody had the flu, they're not open for visiting. Because that's, of course, obviously, that's absolutely on the books, but they don't take visitors until they're done with all of this stuff. So, it's Almost got to wait. I couldn't even get to see the test sites of the nuclear test sites, which is interesting, because there are some. You'll see the next video. I think I'll get it knocked out before Friday as another appendix. Apparently, there was signs and talks of underground nuclear testing out by Riesa, just because it's the only thing we haven't had, short of a damn submarine flying through the area at this point, right? But those post-war crimes researchers that found tunnels that were so radioactive, they were looking for dead bodies, but they actually had to seal them up. So looking at the nuclear test sites out in Nevada, where you underground testing, you see the ground lift up and then settle down in a little crater. I was kind of looking for that sort of thing, or that sort of topography with a LiDAR, and that. So that's good. That's what I'm looking for in the next episode, and doing a lot of walk around the Osufka complex, and I'm going through that factory with more detail, because now that there's a couple of different things this thing could be. So if I had to look at it and stick some cameras in some of the holes and find out where all that stuff was, and so drone freaks. Yeah, I have a drone. It's by now old because I kept flying it into things. Drones apparently do not like to fly underground where there's no reception. And, oh damn, that reminds me. I have to order a new Geiger counter, and I have to order a bunch of tech. And batteries for my flashlight on my camera. Like I said, this trip was a little. This trip is a little bit of a surprise that I was going. So I really did not think. I always have two flashlights, and I bought a really good one. And the moment right before my last trip, and the moment I stuck the battery in it, it shorted out, and so I had to go with number two. But in the Beckersdale tunnels, I need to get some really, really good light, and I have a cable camera. I have one of those rotoscope cameras. Just didn't find anywhere where it seemed like I needed to use it, and there's a little light on it as well. Flashlight, yeah. light up pictures with not a whole lot. This is where on those light up photos, what I was looking for. You see the mountain grooves, and that's where the tunnels are. So I'm looking for grooves like that in the topography that are not where that are somewhere else than where the official tunnels are. So if there's a collapse, but everything looks like it's built up the same way as to the entrances we know of, then chances are there's an entrance or a tunnel entrance that's been sealed up. And I was looking for that indent. But what in am I talking about photos I haven't showed you yet? I think I am talking about photos I haven't showed you yet. Are we talking about the leaf? We're talking about the leaf shape with all those grooves in the last one from the castle, because we talked about they might have been from grooves made from transporting logs from timber, although they are quite a bit. Yeah, they are a bit deep. So, and with the ruins by the castle, that was just really no, not conclusively. It was suggested it was a place to haul timber from foresting, which is a possibility. That one is probably the better one I've heard. Yes, yeah, you did, and that's actually not a bad suggestion. They are very deep, which would make me think if you're hauling logs through there, where would the horse be? And again, the shapes. I have a forester in Denmark who's a friend of mine, and and he's traveled all over the world, and I want him to see them. And a couple of things that's in the next couple of episodes where they're not supposed to be. And he's used to, as a forester his whole life. So, oh, you did? Of course I want to know. There's a silly question. Yeah, I mean, I'm very much curious what people they say. Preferred a military engineer, but fine. Bonjour, Sylvie. And yeah, that's what I was waiting for. And ja, selvfølgelig gør jeg det. Nice. I don't know. We shall see. Aspen Camp. We'll look. Come on, Uncle. We're waiting on you. Italian graphite connection. No, not yet. I am fighting an uphill battle between filming and doing episodes, and my own research is staggering behind, waiting for me to get information back. Well, the Israelis seem to. Well, some of these guys went to work for the Israelis as well. It seemed that there's a complete lack of interest in what happened after they got Eichmann, or at least some. And so there's a lot. It's interesting because if they open up asking too many questions, they're going to find out that a lot of their people didn't look too good. So it's a balancing act, and there's a lot of government and global politics involved, and military technology politics, and a whole lot of other problems that everybody seems to have run into, making it easier to just stop looking, stop asking questions, and stop doing stuff. Except I saw they chased off there was an old camp guard who ran away from his nursing home because last week, because the day before he had to go to court. And I mean, he could have been more than 18 and 19 at the time. So Come on, Uncle, what did he say? I'm expecting a long message here about those grooves in the ground. But I know I know that Alex is working on these grooves because there's a lot of them all over the area. But if it has something to do with foresting, I could absolutely accept that. Um, Interestingly enough, because sometimes to some of these things there's just a simple solution. All right. Hang on. There are many things that when he stopped laughing at his own possible fighting security positions. Back up. The thing is, I don't think it's trenches because they're just not deep enough. And then it would be trenches backed up right next to each other with another trench in front of their field of fire. So trenches, it can't be. And then they're all the same depth. So if it had been a deep enough trench, they would have been deeper. Some would have had the original depth, and some wouldn't have. Was it the one that was it camp guard? Oh, no, as typist. Oh yeah, that's what it was, typist. Why? What were they charging this woman for? I mean, geez, that just seems so traditionally extreme. Larry Flynn, yes. I keep thinking that you're Larry Flynn. You know, at this point in time, why not? Yes. Yeah, that's the lake that's where I need a drone. Killed by association. A lot of that going on. What's the holy grail? I'm guessing, Keith, is that you? You talking about the Holy Grail or the Holy Grain? Considering I can't write, I know what you're saying. In Czechia, there's so much research and okay, what I'm looking for is, well, I guess what everybody's looking for in Czechoslovakia was Kamla's hidden documents that they all thought was hidden somewhere in Strasovice, where in sorry about the tree pruning. I think lobbing bullets at them might be a little extreme. Anyway, at least now I can see stuff. Czechoslovakia is going to be really interesting. And I've been there and I filmed a bunch of stuff from there, and I went to a bunch of the tunnels out there, and I went to Strasovice, where in 1947 the Americans went in to obtain. They got 32 crates that had been hidden by near one of the SS training camps, where there's also a small labor camp, some 500 prisoners, and they had dug into the side of a ravine and hidden and severely booby-trapped a cache of documents or something. Initially thought that this was Kamla's documents, which it possibly were, because they had a bomb team with them. They had an SS officer or two with them to show them where it was and how to defuse this whole thing. And they got away with the crates, but the bomb team was detained by the Czech authorities and would only be released by the return of the crates. And sometime later, the crates were returned and contained boxes of documents of some art and some Czech collaborators and things like that, which I am not buying. We don't know what was in the 32 crates that was hidden there. The SS training camp was run by Emil Klein, and he spent 20 years in prison being tortured to tell the Czech where Kamla had hidden his documents, his secrets in that area. And that whole mountain has been completely dug up. There's a few bunkers. I've been there, filmed it, walked around it, and I met with one of the leading aeronautical engineers or historians from Czechoslovakia. So when we go to Czechia, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on out there. Also, the Schauberger is really interesting because it's the biggest weapons manufacturer of the war, working closely with Kammler, run by Wilhelm Voss. And Voss ended up working for some shady people in the Middle East after the war. He tried to get to work with he actually offered his services to the U.S., but he ended up somewhere in the Middle East doing things and trading weapons and stuff, like quite a few of Kammler's old partners from the war. Thank you, Kurt Jackson. I appreciate it. I do. And I carry guns and protect people, or I sometimes show up on film sets and become a talking monkey. And so in Czechia, there's something going. There's a lot of stuff, interesting stuff going out there, and especially when we get. It's in the first episode, the very first Last Night's a Secret. I talked a little bit about what to expect from there. So I had to go there, and we're not done in Czechoslovakia at all. Sorry to call it Czechoslovakia. So there's that. That's what we look. I guess we're looking for Kammler's papers, and there's a lot of leads in that part of the world, and I'm wondering if there are facilities from the Schauberger that have not been seen. Schauberger was enormous. I've been to Pilsen. Half of the town was a factory. At one point, I was standing outside my hotel and said, "Can you tell me where the Schauberger was?" And the lady just laughed at me and said, "Look around. It was everywhere." There's also a patent museum at the Schauberger, which the Third Army liberated Pilsen, and it's not really very interesting. They need some stuff, but anyway, it's a museum and it's there. But Schauberger is interesting, and I'm looking for industry and technology, and something hidden somewhere would not be strange to find. All right, where most of the lost in the halls of them was. Well, there's a reason why Kammler went to Prague and Pilsen towards the very end of the war. He didn't just go there for fun, knowing the Russians were a stone throw away. There was a reason why Field Marshal Schroeder, he was hauled up in a school not nearby the castle, which is about 3 hours drive between the castle and Prague, to hold the Russians from there. They were fighting to keep them out of there. That's very much of a fact. And it was a fact that Kammler was there, and he wouldn't have gone there. Voss went back there. Both Voss went back to the Schauberger, where he was packing up secret documents and technology in trucks tried to hand it over to the Americans, who said no, they didn't want to take it because this was the Russian zone. And if ever we had to talk about how soldiers need to understand how to take initiative, and there's a book written about this blunder that was it was staggering, that at the end of the war with somebody who will potentially become an enemy, that there's an American officer who is refusing to take a truckload of secret research from a German weapons lab. It boggles the mind, this stupidity. But Kammler was around there. And there's a reason for that. And that's kind of the reason why we are looking for, because I don't think we're going to find his body out there. L4. Spines or yes, they do, and that's why they have a patent museum there. Was a direct order by Hitler given? No, I don't think so. Hitler's order, from what I can understand, and I have some issue with that. Is it Schroeder? What did I say? Albert, any relation? You know to whom I mean. I got sidetracked. Where did we go? Hitler. Oh, Hitler's. Well, he did get the Nero order to destroy everything that Speer refused to carry out. I like to see that. There's something more to that. But as to giving an order, he had a very long meeting, 3 hour meeting with Kamla towards the end that Spear wrote about, that now all hopes were kind of fell to Kamla to pull them out of there at the very end. Of course, they're Spanish. They're not Spanish. They're Mexican, but very well picked up. And so Kamla sort of had a free hand, and there's some indication that he did not tell Hitler everything, because at that point in time, the war was lost, and Hitler was going to have to go, or at least hide. So whatever he wanted become less and less material, which is why towards the end no one really followed the orders that he gave, so it became sort of a mute point. And I think Kamla did his thing, and if he'd done a deal, then that deal would be to evacuate stuff to the Americans. I could see in the fog of war the whole scenario with the trucks not being handed over to the Americans because there's some idiot lieutenant who just didn't get the memo, because he's frontline unit, he's not an intelligence unit. Somebody like Dulles had given it up. The orders came from up to down. He hadn't gotten it. He didn't know. He didn't hear. He thought he was doing the right thing. And, well, all right, you can't. Done is done. But the Russians got that truck, and I want to know. And there's a couple other trucks that fell in the Russian hands. It does seem that towards the end things became a little chaotic, and the Russians probably moved faster than even Kamla thought they were going to. Kamla could have done whatever he wanted to do, and he could most certainly have explained. I think now you're looking at the time where Kamla and the field marshal, no, he couldn't have ordered the field marshal to defend that area specifically. He couldn't have given him the order to do so, but he could certainly have given Hitler to give him the order to do so, which I suspect was done, and I have some indication that was done. I haven't seen it, but a lot of orders went out towards there. Bormann could have given that order, and whatever Kamla was doing, I suspect Bormann had some knowledge of this. But also, you could see Kamla as an SS general telling who everybody knew how close to Hitler he was, could have sat down on screen and said, well, this is what we're doing back here. It could pull us out at the end. We need to get this stuff out. You need to hold here. One thing is orders given. Another thing is common sense. This is why you need to defend this area, because I need to get my whatever out of here for the greater good. Because Schauberger, now I'm mispronouncing his name, not Schauberger. He knew the war was lost. He knew he was doing a holding action to get refugees and stuff out. So evacuation of assets and refugees to some degree was what that was. And so do you need to give an order for that, or could you just actually work together on that level? And I believe, maybe it's just my coffee's wearing off, I do actually believe Hitler did give Schauberger, the field marshal, the order to hold in Prague for the oil fields, but I think that was earlier. I wrote a book about this. You would think I'll remember what I wrote, but backtracking, I do think that Hitler actually did gave that order. I will have to recheck on that, but whether he did or not, it was Schauberger. Ach so. There's an R in there. Schauberger. Ah, fine. So anyway, so that's was sort of my take on that. And now I'm out of black liquid, and I have to start ordering stuff and to go to the gym. No, it's not Steiner. So, just to recap what I made you guys promise me to do, because you did. Now that one thing is buried in editing, and I am traveling, my research needs you guys to help me with ideas and locations I'm missing, I'm forgetting. on, I think it's public on the Patreon. If it's not, it will be. I put up documents of all of the known Camelot location, courtesy of the CIA. If you live anywhere near them and you know a coordinate to the tunnel entrances, please send me very, very short emails that I may or may not have time to respond to, because I'm 6 months back on responding to my emails, and I am feeling guilty about it. I just cannot do everything. And that's what my research before I'm now going out to the Bergkristall tunnels in a couple of weeks, because they're going to open them. I have to film it. We have to document this, hopefully Killabao. There are other places that I'm going to try to go to that I know of. There's also a whole bunch of underground facilities and places of interest that I haven't heard of, because I just, well, I haven't gotten time to read the 800 books I've got sitting around here. I haven't gotten through the emails. So if you have suggestions, we'll do live stream before I go. And there's a couple interesting things that's coming up in the next over the next 10 days online, including World War I is going to start on Great Forts, and that is going to be really, really, really interesting. But send me short emails, clear in the headline. This is what, here's a location for you. Send me the coordinates so I can just drop it on my maps and go there. And until just short little note why this might be something I need to look at them if it's within the sphere. But a lot of times I film things because I know they're there, I'm near them, I can get in, and then I do the research when I get home and find out I missed something that's next to it and next to it and next to it. So you guys need to help me with the research. And although I'm joining my emails before the trip, like I said, this was a little bit unplanned. I thought I was going to be sit here. I have just written down Espelkamp, and I'm going to take a look at that. And I would love to if you guys could help me out finding tunnel coordinates for the 20 of the tunnels of Kamlos that I posted, because all I have is the CIA map, and here's a town, and here's a tunnel system, here's a town. It doesn't really tell me exactly where it is. So if any of you guys know of these places, and if there's a contact to somebody running them, help me out. I'll go do all the dirty work and crawl through them, but help me find some of these places. And it's like when you send me a 3-page email with a suggestion, short ones. And yes, I am really excited about the starting World War I in Great Forts now, because it's really, it gets really, really interesting. And I heard that North Hydro has started looking underneath it and opening up that place again. I am going to try to make it to Norway as well. Again, this is an unscheduled. I did not know this was going to, so it's not going to be a long trip like last one, because I haven't really had time to save up for it yet. Anything about money? Thank you, BMF. BCG? BMCG? They couldn't have named you Larry. All right, I'm kidding. Anyway, there's going to be more from Osufka Riese coming up Thursday or Friday, and another little walking through, looking at strange things Monday. And there's going to be a big Last Nazi Secret coming up within the next 10 days, going back to Jonastal and that radioactive thing I found, which is really weird. And Great Forts going back to World War I, and all that will happen before I leave, and we'll all talk before I leave. But yeah, if you guys have the chance to help me out with things, make it easy and short note and a coordinate so I can just drop it and see what this is. And you guys be safe, and I will hopefully see you everywhere in Europe. And I'm going to go on my Patreon and unlock the the Kamlos maps right now, because we got to do this together, because I can't do it all alone. So there. Anyway, be well, be safe, and don't believe in bullshit.